Welcome to our channel, $1 Million Made Easy. This is a channel where we help you know your numbers. People give me requests in the comment section and I run numbers for them. Got a request from somebody. He was concerned about his parents. Their parents are 58 years old. They have $800,000 in 401k. They're going to sell one of the houses that they have and move into another one. And the net proceeds from that sale of the house is going to be $200,000. So between these two, they're going to have $1 million. Currently have pensions of $4,000. Again, they're 58 years old. At 62, they're going to get $2,500 plus $1,500, so they're going to get another $4,000. Here are their current expenses. Since I'm moving from one house, they need to get in that different house. That expense is going to be $2,200. Plus, they want to take into account health insurance, which you've always got to plan on whenever you retire before age 65. How are you going to handle health insurance? Well, they're considering that. That's $1,700. So what are their total expenses going to be? They're guesstimating maybe $10,000. We're going to change this as we start running the variables here. So that includes the $3,900 right here above. So they're figuring they need about $6,100 a month. So they want to know, can they retire now? So let's go ahead and look at one of the spreadsheets that we like to use. Again, they've got $1 million saved up, the $800,000 plus the net profit from selling the one house. We're going to do a 60-40 asset allocation. This is important. 60% is going to stay in the S&P 500, which is what we use on this channel. We use the returns for the last 100 years for the S&P 500, and we simply project ahead what similar returns might do for you, things that have actually happened in the last 100 years. So we're going to go and do that. We're going to put 40% over in a cash reserve account. This is kind of a liquid account. So if the market's going down, the money that you need is coming out of the cash reserve account, not out of the S&P 500. Because if that's being knocked down, you don't want to sell low. So let's go ahead and look at the initial $10,000 a month. And they're going to get $4,000 from their pension. I want you to notice, interestingly enough, right here, their expenses are about $3,900, and they're going to get $4,000 from pensions. So it's kind of a wash. So here's what they're actually going to need from their nest egg those first few years before Social Security kicks in. Okay, let me show you how that works. In the fifth year, they're going to get Social Security. If I can get this to click here. So here's what's going to happen. The first 4 years, they're going to be needing to take this $6,000 or $72,000 out of their nest egg until Social Security kicks in. Again, $1 million, they need $72,000. That's a 7.2% withdrawal rate those initial years. That's way above the 4% rule, but it's only for the first 4 years. Once the Social Security kicks in, once the $4,000 kicks in, then it drops from this right here, 65.56, which is this growing by 3% a year, going to drop down to this. Now that's a 3.07% withdrawal rate. But what we want to do is update this for every single year. Right now, we got 1925 numbers showing. It shows the summary box what you have after 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years. Obviously, if we had numbers like 1925 going forward, have no problem. But we want to do it for every single year. In fact, if we use 1929 numbers, you're going to see there's a situation there where you actually run out of money sometime after 25 years. But we want to do it for every single year. So we're going to go ahead and update the numbers here. Okay, look at these numbers. $10,000, $6,000 coming from the nest egg for the first 4 years. Social Security kicks in. You only need this kind of money. You do not run out of money in the first 20 years. In fact, the only time you run out of money is this one shown right here. That's 1929 numbers, and you can see it in red right there. Doesn't quite last 30 years. It lasts 20, but not 30. And it looks like it runs out of money just after 26 years. But that's the only time in the last 100 years you actually run out of money. The 20-year graph shows the money lasting. We go to the 30-year graph, then you got the money running out right there. So that's the numbers. This is the graph. 100% of the time your money lasts 20 years, and 99% of the time, or 98.6, whatever, lasts 30 years. The only time it doesn't, 1929. Now, what happens if we go up a little bit higher? What if they need a little bit more than the $72,000 a year? Let's go to $11,000. Now we're up to 8.4% withdrawal rate. with the 4.38 after the Social Security kicks in. Let's go ahead and update these numbers. Okay, now we got a situation because we're taking out $1,000 more, which would be $84,000 initially, increasing by 3% a year until Social Security kicks in down here. Then you have a situation where 7% of the time you see a few more reds here in the 20-year column and a few more in the 30-year column. This is the graph. But again, 93% of the time you would be just fine after 20 years. Here's the ones that you'd be running out of money around the Depression years, and also around the year 2000. Remember, those were the bad decades. So these are the actual numbers that are showing up here. Let's go ahead and do, well, here's something we really haven't considered. And this Social Security of $4,000 a month, that's what they said they're going to get. Now, what's nice about Social Security is it increases each year. So this $4,000 that they're expecting right now in today's dollars, if we do the next 4 years with a 2.5% COLA, which is what Social Security paid this year, they gave a COLA of 2.5%. 4 years from now, actually in the 5th year, at age 62, they're going to get $44.15. So we need to take that into account because it's going to grow with a COLA. Because we're increasing the cost down through here by 3%, we need to take into account a COLA also. So they're going to get a little bit more in this 5th year, which means they're needing less from their nest egg. But one other thing we haven't taken into account, this is important. This health insurance is $1,700 between now and the time they turn 65 when they can take Medicare. What happens when Medicare kicks in? Okay, when Medicare kicks in, let's go ahead and knock this down by $1,000. Let's say instead of paying $1,700, they're only going to pay $700 for their health insurance. Again, all these numbers can change, but this I'm trying to be as realistic as I can. So we're going to take $1,000 less off of that. Why? Because we're going to assume that $1,700 isn't going to be quite that high once they start Medicare. So we're going to knock this down by $1,000 instead of $34.31. We're going to do $24.31. I think we've got our bases covered. Let's go ahead and see that because that knocks that down. What was it before? It was 3.88%. But if we knock it down, it's going to be 2.92%. Let's go ahead and update this and see what the numbers show. Remember, it's a 7% failure rate right now, which means 93% of the time you're just fine after 20 years and 83% of the time after 30 years. But let's see with these minor changes, which are very realistic that you'd be paying less once you get to Medicare age. Let's see what the numbers show. Quite impressive, isn't it? 0% of the time you run out of money in 20 years. And only about 97% or 2.8% of the time you run out of money, and that's during the years 1929, 1930 for the 30-year column right there. So it looks like, take into account they're paying a little bit less in health insurance. Nobody knows what health insurance is going to do, but hopefully once you reach Medicare age, you're not going to have to pay this $1,700 out. So we just got it running at $700 a month to run the numbers. And in that case, even taking out $11,000, which would be $84,000 a year after these expenses are taken into account, because these are covered right here, are covered by the pension. Looks like they'd be able to withdraw $84,000 a year and not run out of money. And the only time they would is if they had the 29 and 30 year period, or 1929 and 1930 returns. Then you might not be able to take out the $11,000. But again, we want to run numbers for people. That's what we do on this channel. We set up all kinds of different spreadsheets just to show them where they might be. Can this couple retire? It looks like the numbers are looking really good. If this is what they really need in expenses, it's $11,000 with the pension. In other words, they need $7,000, which would be $84,000 a year. If that's comfortable for them, looks like all the numbers work out really well, except possibly if we had returns like 1929 and 1930. We can change any of these numbers. We could change the inflation rate or whatever. But I just kind of give them a realistic look at where they might be. Looks like they're in good shape. Again, don't rely on these numbers only in your planning, but they can be a guide to help you to see where you might be at. That's what we do on this channel. We create spreadsheets, set them up, run numbers for people. Just love doing it. Please consider subscribing to this channel. We'd really like to get this channel going. Let people know there's a channel out there that will do it. Somebody just recently said something about your videos are unlike anybody else's because we get detail here. We give you some detail and we can run different numbers, and that's what we love doing. Please like the video, please share with others, and thanks so much for watching.